Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of the Community Spotlight. Unfortunately last week we had to cancel our show due to some technical difficulties, but we have Tetsuo9999 coming back today to play Fight and Rage Gal normal difficulty turbo speed for us. But before we get to that, we're going to be starting off with Demarine, who's going to be making this a bit of a brawler showcase by playing Odin Sphere Lifetraversal for us. Should be a good run, and thank you so much, Demarine, for being here today. Before we get... Oh, sorry.
No, as always, thank you for having me.
Before we get started, I just do want to go over a few quick announcements. The first step this Thursday will be returning to their normal time at 7 p.m. Eastern. November 13th through 20th is going to be the second submission period for new games and DLC released after August 1st for AGDQ 2020. You can find details about that if you go to gamesdonequick.com. And Frame Fatale's submission period will be opening up December in the 15th through January 14th, and you can find details about that by going to gamesdonequick.com/hotfix. So, Demarine, thank you for being here again, and why don't you give us the quick overview of what we're going to be seeing today?
Right, so actually there's a quick question in chat there that says only Cornelius, and yeah, so Odin Sphere is a game that came out back in 2007 for the PS2 and absolutely pushed the PS2 to its limits, and then some, to the point where it's one of the very few games with sprite slowdown in that system's history. But it is a beat-em-up with 5 different characters, and it has some RPG elements as well. There's some items, and there are some drops, and there's some leveling up. But it is the story of the end of the world. It draws heavily off of Norse mythology. It's done by Vanillaware, so it's some really fast, really beautifully animated action. And the character that we are going to see today is the second character in the main storyline. We are going to see the Puka Prince himself bunny hop his way through 7 chapters, Cornelius.
All right, so today is a little bit of a brawler, action fighting kind of game. What kind of action can we expect to see from Odin Sphere today?
So the major hope is you're going to see me take some enemies up off the ground and keep them there for a very, very long time. The whole idea is that the combat there's 2 major sorts of combat. There are, 3 really. There's basically, just cruft enemies, like basic enemies. There are mini bosses, and there are major bosses. There's 7 major bosses, and I think we see 7 mini bosses or 8 mini bosses, if I remember correctly. I always kind of miscount because it depends on the route. But for a lot of these enemies, you're going to see me try to basically stun lock them to death before they can do anything and keep them as under control as possible, because if they start losing control, we're playing on easy. This is the easy difficulty, so keep in mind that if they get out of control, we're going to be playing a little bit under-leveled, so things can get very dangerous very quickly.
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to cover before we get started?
There's a lot of things that we'll sort of cover through the run in terms of items and everything, and me complaining about my whirlwind luck on the big stage, but I would love to get started at this point.
All right. So I'm ready when you are. Why don't you give us a countdown?
All right, so we'll start in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so there's a beautiful plot line of how this man was cursed and everything, and we're going to skip all of that. That is him actually on the screen. You'll see him for a couple of frames. But we're going to go into Cornelius' tutorial. There's a short tutorial because you get all the tutorial with Glendolyn. I missed the skip on that. And we're going to wait for that dial box to pop and the second one to pop, and we're going to skip that. And we get this move, which is a down stab, and this isn't Zelda 2, so it's completely useless. And instead, we're just going to stab some of the undead. So 7 different worlds throughout the game that we are going to go through. And the first one, of course, we are going to start in the Land of the Dead. Every stage we get, we're going to get a rank. We're usually going to get us ranks. It's pretty easy too. There's probably one stage I won't. And there are treasure chests, and we're going to open some of them. Because we need money, we need items, we need specific sorts of money, because there's 2 sorts of money, and we're literally never going to save. Now, there's a technique that we're going to use very sparingly, because we don't need to use a lot, but for speed, if you have a dodge attack on R1, and you can dodge, you're basically letting you sidestep attacks, but if you jump a couple of frames afterwards, you'll actually throw yourself through the air at high speed. We're going to get an ability that actually nullifies that very shortly, because we won't need it. So, first room, we get these shine bottles, which let us light up the undead. You can't hurt these if they're not in the light, so if you forget to grab the shine potions, your run is already dead. I wish I were kidding. The major way to level up in this game is by eating food. So we're going to do that. You get very little experience from enemies as you do from food, and we're going to eat that mulberry for level 2. And the other way we level up are these items called, these purple sparks called phosons. They're basically the source of life in the world. And we use those to level up abilities. And you'll see me occasionally going after these peppers. I should not have maybe done that right then and there, but we need those for crafting potions later, because we need certain potions for certain junctures in the game. And the last major thing of note here is we're getting something called a Phoson Prism. This is our first ability. This is Spiral Claw. You're going to see about an hour's worth of this. I am going to use this literally all the time.
And this is what is going to invalidate the technique of dodging in the air, because this is just faster, I assume?
This is faster. This gives you super armor, so you can take damage and continue dealing damage. It lets you juggle enemies. We're going to use it for pretty much everything, and we get the ability Rapid Walk, which makes us run faster than we actually jump through the air. So now I don't need to jump through the air anymore. It's not that I'm not going to do it. I love doing it. It looks really cool, but I don't have to if I don't want to.
You get so many good toys right here at the start.
Yeah, Cornelius is really good for that, honestly. I am going to jump through these because the actual water here is poison. We don't want to walk in it. Again, our life total is a little limited right now. And here's our first mid-boss. This is Halia, the Death Wraith. And I pushed the wrong button there. We want to set up Spiral Claw now. We're going to set it up on a shortcut button. And we are going to use it to kill this enemy. Now, the Phosons we use to upgrade it make it do enough damage that I can just push it once and break the health gauge at the bottom. If you've played any Vanillaware games before, you'll notice that as the health gauge breaks, the enemy goes into its stun state. And sometimes does that, which is really annoying. And goes into its stun state, which for some enemies means you can juggle them. For some of them, they teleport. They all have sort of different behaviors when their health gauge runs out. I'm just going to stab him. I'm tired of this already.
That's a very powerful ability.
It is. And again, you're going to see all of it. And we're going to get our first potion, which is a Volcano potion, which we're going to save for later. So Geist females are not vulnerable until they see the light, which is a little annoying, so we're going to make sure that there's a stationary light source to go with the moving light sources, and try and spawn them into the light source. Thankfully, there's only a couple of them, but you'll notice that after I finish an area, I do a little bit of moving around. I'm trying to set up my transition to the next area. I want to be as close as possible to the next area anytime that I can, because that's how you save a ton of time. The only major issue with Spiral Claw you'll see is that it's a little hard to keep small enemies under control. It doesn't always do quite what you want it to do with keeping smaller enemies under control. I throw another Shine out. The Shine also does a lot of damage to the dematerialized undead, so you just want to kind of deal with them very quickly. I'm not having a good room here. This room is a little frustrating at points, so I'll take what we can get. Also, I'm poisoned. Poison is sort of a double-edged sword. Spiral Claw uses that blue gauge at the top of my screen called Power. And it costs me 35% of my power to use it. And you regenerate power two ways. One is by not using special abilities, and the other is by taking damage. And that's any sort of damage. That includes taking poison damage, there's burn status. Anytime you take damage, you regain a little bit of power. And of course, this means that I can basically, in some battles, intentionally take damage to reload my power to continue juggling enemies. So you'll see that there's a couple of fights later on where I will intentionally light myself on fire to do more damage.
The immolation strats, I like it.
It's real powerful. This is wrong. I actually went the lower exit here. See, as you can see, I'm still hopping around even though I don't need to. And, of course, the first boss is fairly easy. The first boss is going to be Lady Odette, Queen of the Dead. If we can get to her door.
That door is very far away.
It is, and we're going to skip the storyline, which is all very riveting and good, and we're instead just going to go right to the boss. We're going to lead off by throwing this volcano at her. The burn only does a little bit of damage because it's percentage damage, but it does speed things up a little bit. And this blaze potion we're going to need a little later, so we're going to hang on to that. It just leaves a stationary column of flame, which you'd think wouldn't be terribly useful, but there's one particular boss where it's fantastic, and we do fight that boss on this route, so we're going to hang on to it. Odette, as you can see, every time you break her health gauge, she decides to teleport to a different part of the screen, and she learns different attacks every phase. The good thing is that she dies so quickly that it probably won't matter. We are hoping to see a couple of different drops here. We're hoping to see turnips come out of the ground, which we did not get one there, because we need those for later. Toxin's good, because we'll need that for the next boss fight. And she is on her last health gauge. That's the attack we don't want to see, because it pushes us back and pushes her back. And you can't actually super armor it, which is kind of a nuisance.
It just breaks your super armor? That's annoying.
Yeah, it's one of the few enemies in the game with an ability that snaps your super armor and just pushes you back anyway. Alright, so you'll notice that we can always go into this menu whenever we want to kind of give ourselves skills. But we're just going to do it at end of stages and when we get prisms, because we don't want to open the menu, opening the menu slow. But we get Spark Bolt, which is our other major ability. It's a short-range projectile that also dizzies foes. It puts them in a stun state. And later on, we get an ability that increases the damage from stun state. And there's one particular mini-boss that I'm going to hope to goodness I keep in stun state the entire time.
I can already see how that would lead to some good juggling, yeah.
Yeah, it leads to some good juggling. It leads to some good ground damage. It does a little bit of everything. In the actual storyline here, we get our sword taken away. We take it back because, you know, we're powerful and a hero. And we're gonna go and we're gonna sadly kill some Valkyries.
No.
They're revolting against Odin, so they need to die. They need to die.
Okay.
I'm still saddened by it though. Valkyries are annoying because they do one thing more than any other thing in the game. It seems like they like to block. And you can theoretically block, too, by just holding your attack button. But, you know, blocking is not killing things.
And blocking is slow.
Blocking is slow. There's no parrying mechanic in this game, at least on this character. So we, at least for a while anyway, we won't use it anyway because, you know, it's not swinging our sword for immense amounts of damage, which is all that we want to do. Alright, so we're going to exit to the right here. We're going to run to the right here. And we're going to keep moving right. And we're going to find Dwarven Warriors. These are the heavies. They're a little bit tankier. They're a little bit annoying. They can dizzy you with their axes as well, if they ever decide to swing them. I think that's sort of the one sort of nice thing about this, is that early on especially, the enemies are not terribly aggressive. They're much more aggressive on higher difficulties.
So you mentioned that even despite being on a low difficulty, things can get pretty dangerous if they get off the rails.
Yep.
What differences does the higher difficulty make? Is it just more aggressive, more health, more damage kind of thing?
It's all of those things. So they're definitely healthier for one thing. They don't usually die in one set of ground chains like that. Your power regenerates more slowly. That's sort of unsung sort of thing that makes the game very hard, but it stops a lot of the infinite juggling trickery that you can get in easy. And enemies just hit a lot harder, so you need to be a little bit more careful about like eating food to gain levels and the equipment that you use. Because there is equipment in this game. And we're going to get... Oh, I'm going to stop and grab this first. This is a Cub's Bane. I'm going to use this later for making a toxic potion that I'm going to need at one point. So as you can see, a little pop-up, it says mid-boss stage. This is Berserker Warrior. We are going to attempt to take him for a very long ride if we can. And here's the thing. Cornelius is funny because he does slightly more damage on the ground. But when we have the opportunity, we want to take enemies up in the air because, again, they can't get off the rails if they're flying. And I am going to set up a Spark Bolt now on this button and fire it, which you can see puts him in stun state. And now he is back in the air, where he is not hurting me.
His damage sound looping like that is pretty amusing to me.
It's pretty great. And we're going to grab a Saturn Bangle here. We're going to equip that in a moment. We're not going to equip it yet because I'm going to go buy 2 more of them. But Saturn Bangles are super important. You know how we mentioned doing more damage, right? And how that's sort of the crux of this particular game. What if I told you that there's a piece of equipment that increases the damage you take by 10%?
So that you regenerate more power?
No, even better. You take more damage, but you also deal more damage.
Oh, okay.
So this is where things get dicey, right? We're going to take 30% more damage when we get hit. That's bad.
How much more damage do we do?
We're going to do 30% more damage, which is really good.
Yeah, that's a pretty good trade.
And go ahead.
I did see a question in chat earlier asking how you found this game, and you mentioned that you really enjoy running it. Like, what makes you keep coming back to it?
So it's a game that I enjoyed back in 2007 when it came out for the PS2, the original release. And just it's just that right combination of fast action, good storyline, great gameplay, beautiful graphics. I love all of Vanillaware's games. They're all really good. So that's kind of what kept me kind of coming back to it after I learned the run about a month ago. Maybe a month and a half now. Time's a little weird sometimes.
Yeah, I feel you there.
Mm-hmm.
I just moved recently and time is very weird.
Alright, so we just grabbed a Phozon Prism that's hidden in this stage that gives us the ability called Assault High. What that does is, you've probably seen on the top right of my screen as we've been fighting things, that there's a chain counter up there. And that chain counter so far has meant honestly nothing. Now it means something, because I get a damage multiplier for the length of the chain that I'm on.
Oh man, they just keep giving you more toys.
Yeah, basically we keep getting more toys. We're going to grab these 2 Saturn Bangles, we're going to go into our equipment menu, and we're going to put them on. And now we take and deal 30% more damage. Which, as you can see now on these Valkyries, instead of dying in 4 swings and maybe needing to Spiral Claw to the next group, they just sort of die. They cannot stand up to a single combo anymore. There's an upgraded version that I don't get in the route because it requires that I grab a lot more money and it doesn't come up till later. So I've sort of routed it out for now.
An upgraded version of the Saturn Bangle? Or
Yep.
the...
Yeah, an
chain?
upgraded version. Upgraded version of the Saturn Bangle.
Okay, so I have a question.
Yep.
Does the taking 30% more damage also apply to when you set yourself on fire?
Yes.
Ooh.
Alright, perfect. Level 5. Alright. Getting level 5 here is a rare treat. It means I'm going to do a little bit more damage to the next boss, so I'm actually going to be in kind of good shape here. My first split was 25 seconds off, which is fine. It does happen. There's a little bit of inconsistency in the early chapters sometimes. Just by missing one juggle or something, you drop 10 seconds. It's great. But we're going to use the teleport. You can actually teleport to any room that you've been in with that green spirally aura, and we're going to just teleport directly to the boss because we have the key to unlock the door. And this is General Bergon. General Bergon takes no damage.
Excuse me?
Takes no damage, watch. I'm going to throw this Blaze Potion at his feet. See? No damage. None at all. So he's got these 4 shields on his chest. And you see one of them just popped off. The more hits that we deliver to Bergon, the more of those shields will pop off. When all 4 of them are gone, as you can see, we are now doing the damage. And the Blaze Potion is the fastest way to sort of set that up, so that's why we hung on to that Blaze Potion from Chapter 1. To make sure that we could have it for Chapter 2.
And that's why you weren't using Spiral Crawl too much early, because you didn't want to push him out of the fire?
Correct. Wanted to keep him sort of balanced in the fire. I mean, you want to try and keep him in the fire as long as you can. Blaze 1 doesn't last terribly long. Now, of course, he summons ads. There are a Valkyrie leader that'll refill his drink. His drink attacks can stun you and burn you. And the other Valkyries you see, they have shields. So we grabbed that level 1 Toxin Potion from before, and we're going to throw that to just lock them out of this fight real quick, and we're going to finish Chapter 2. And we're going to grab this Blaze Potion before we leave. you get all these neat text archives too that give you the entirety of the storyline, and we're not going to see any of that tonight.
So what I'm hearing is the storyline is really good, and if people are interested in it, they should play the game.
You should absolutely play this game casually. You should learn this speedrun. It's all good all the way around. But yeah, so Spiral Claw has been enhanced. It increases the damage, and some levels give you skill ability power up, which we really want, because that increases the damage of that particular ability fairly precipitously. You're not the one who sells bread rolls. You're not terribly useful to me. One sells food, one sells equipment. But we want...
consistent?
It is, but why am I on the wrong route? I think I'm on the wrong route. Oops. But I'm looking at my wrong notes, I'm sorry. That's the notes for, routes 3 and 5.
It happens.
It's fine. Alright, so now we're in the forest. You know, there's a big war going on over the artifact that will allow one side to basically rule the world. Either the fairies or the Aesir, who are the Valkyries and friends, and Odin. And we're sort of in the middle of this. We're trying to break a curse on ourselves and our people that turned us into bunny people. Adorable bunny people, but bunny people nonetheless. And we're gonna grab some fruit. If we find fruit along the way, we're gonna grab it. Fruit is not what we're going to be eating. We're going to be using fruit for alchemy later. We don't do a ton of alchemy, but when we need to do it, I spend a bunch of time doing it in Chapter 5 or Chapter 6, so we'll see.
So you mentioned that we wanted some good luck to avoid doing some alchemy earlier on. Like, what are the good things we really want to see to cut down on that alchemy time?
So the major thing that we want to see is we want to see turnips, cyclone potions, and preferably whirlwind potions. We don't see a ton of whirlwind potions, but whirlwind potions are super preferable. I am on the wrong exit. This is a south exit. Because whirlwind potions, we need them for a quick kill later on. Because otherwise there's a fight that can get very, very out of hand. Not from a you're going to die standpoint, but from a you can't really deal damage standpoint. And you saw there that big glowing animation and that overswing that I did. That is a critical strike. You do have a crit rate in this game. I forget if it's like 1 or 2%, but it's pretty low. But when you get them, you know, they really melt bosses. And if you get them on regular enemies, you're hating it because you don't need to crit regular enemies on easy. But as you can see, it's a pretty solid combination of Spiral Clawing this and just swinging through it. And I missed the last hit there. Good job, me. But you'll kind of notice that the ground combo is 4 swings long. But if you sort of jump at the right angle and start swinging, you can get as many as 7 swings in your combo, which makes your damage go through the rooftops, which is really what you want. The problem is you need 6 hits on these, and they low profile your hits, which is a nuisance, so we sort of accept the fact that it's going to be 2 chains to kill them. And the orange one is like the upgraded version of them, so they take a lot more damage to kill, and so we have to sort of lock them down to just make sure that they don't start attacking me. No one wants to get attacked.
I was very confused there, because like they look like bears, but their damage sounded like a pig.
They're adorable is what they are. And they make me a little sad to have to kill them, but...
Yeah. I was just like, what kind of animal is this?
It's a teddy bear. They're adorable. This game makes me a little sad. Alright, time for a much less pretty enemy. It's time for Manticore.
Don't feel bad about beating this guy up.
Yeah, the problem with this guy is that we're going to get juggle state on him pretty consistently, except it's real hard to keep him in juggle state. That's a level 2 Volcano. That's not great. Hoping for Cyclone. And I'm going to drop that. The good news is that Manticore is really easily stunned. That's a turnip, by the way, so we want that. I'm going to take a second to grab it. Help me avoid the next attack, too. Seriously? Again, Manticore is really floaty. Like, more so than most. Manticore just wants to get out of the way of what you're doing, and does a dash attack, which is a real nuisance if you don't do that and stun him. See, as you can see, there's the extended ground combo, which we want to see. And we're going to try and set up a top exit really fast. We do want this. That is an overload potion. Overload potions are super important. They just increase the amount of damage that you do for a short period of time.
Ooh, that sounds juicy.
We will be crafting a couple of very powerful overload potions for the end of the game because they will speed up the last couple of bosses that we do a lot.
Yeah, you mentioned that we're going to be underleveled, so I assume at the end of the game we're just stacking a bunch of damage bonuses to make the last few bosses as fast as possible.
Yep. And the first part of it, of course, is bracelets. The second part of it will be overload potions. And the third part of it will be crafting the proper potions to do additional damage as well. Usually flame spirits. But we will actually be mixing that up on this particular route because there's one enemy we need a quick kill on that we need to have frozen. Also, throughout the game, you get sort of instructions on how to do alchemy. This is Toxin, which is a potion we need for the boss of Chapter 6. So we're going to grab the Cub's Bane and the extra high-level bottle, which is nice.
I saw one earlier that appeared to be a recipe on how to make a churro.
Yep, there's also cooking and beautifully rendered food, and you see a lot of that casually. It is a Vanillaware game, and they're really, really known for that. There's something about it. If ever you want to see some of the most lovingly rendered Japanese food ever, play Muramasa the Demon Blade. It's also a really good game from Vanillaware. Came out on the Wii, I think in 13, I want to say? 12 or 13? I don't remember precisely. It's been a while, maybe older than that. But we're just going to sort of keep these enemies under control here and downstab them for a lot of damage.
So watching you play this game, the combat looks very fluid. How much of that is you doing very precise things to make it stay fluid, and how much of that is just the game being fluid?
So a lot of it really with combos is one button, which is sort of kind of that neat sort of Vanillaware take, is that it's real simple, but to sort of make it look real fluid and to sort of make sure that you're in the right place at the right time, it's fairly precise. Like complaining about Manticore, that Manticore is very floaty, for example. And so to sort of deal with that, you have to be sort of ready to, adjust what you're doing, time upstrokes or, change attacks to get through it really quickly, which is always really interesting to me. So, again, it looks real simple, and you can do a lot of this stuff really easily, but the very high-powered combos that, like the really long juggles take a lot of effort to learn. Alright, Velvet's Impostor, also known as This Does Look Like Velvet. We are going to crack 2 potions here. We're going to use that overload we used before. We're going to actually throw 3. We're going to throw the Shine Potion at her, so we're going to stun her. And we're going to save one for later, but we're going to put her in juggle state. Velvet likes to backdash. Unsurprisingly, characters who backdash are really annoying. But you can see we're trying... Oh, come on, really? We're trying to keep her, like I said, get her set up so that she's on the ground again at the end of her health gauge so that we can start a juggle immediately right afterwards. Right, so we're sort of letting it drop out a little bit here. And we're trying to drop it out at a certain point so that we can sort of keep her movement limited. That was a Cyclone Potion over there. And that's Velvet. I'm going to try and grab that Volcano before we go. Got it. Cool. But yeah. Got to keep that juggle state rolling as long as you can. Otherwise, runs go bad. But now we're going to get to spend all these Phozons and make ourselves a lot more powerful by getting points into things that we really need. Streak Slash is a really cool ability that lets us dash straight forward, and we're never going to use it. It looks real cool. We're never using it.
So how much damage do we lose when the combo drops like that? Like when the chain gets reset?
So it ends up, depending upon how deep we are into the chain, probably about 20 to 25% of damage once we're over 100.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we are now into Titania's capital here. But we're not actually staying in Titania's capital. The storyline actually has us go up into the cold mountains and punch a dragon. Punch a dragon is a big theme of Norse mythology, and it is no different here. But the ice-themed enemies, we have ice trolls, who are annoyingly healthy and have inconsistent juggle state, which for regular enemies is not a big deal, but there are bigger trolls that we'll face later. We also took an ability just now called Ground Force, which is really useful because it just increases the amount of damage we do when our feet are on the ground by 10%. Again, for bosses, we still want to juggle them, though. We do not want to try and keep our feet on the ground if we can help it, because, again, juggled enemies are helpless. Enemies that are not juggled are moving around. We don't want that.
How much do you want to be able to, like, put a boss back down to the ground to get another ground combo before launching them again? Like, is that worthwhile?
That's always worthwhile, and you want to do it at about 20 to 25% of the remaining gauge. We did need that level 1 Volcano I grabbed earlier to pop open that door and not use up a better potion. And also not open that treasure chest, because while it has 2 materials in it, it also gives us a scroll. And we don't want the scroll because there's the animation, and it goes to the cutscene and everything, and we don't want any of that if we can help it. Alright, so this room is actually really good that it's in this run, and also is just basically required. Because this room does give us 2 guaranteed turnips from the treasure chest at the end. And so we will need those for the Epilogue chapter for Chapter 7. And so I'm always glad to get them here because you have to.
So like the fruits and vegetables that spawn, are those normally just random events on screens?
Yep. Enemies randomly drop treasure chests, and treasure chests will have 3 things. They'll have a very small amount of money. They will have a low-level material for the zone that you're in, so usually level 1, occasionally level 2. In the end of the game, you'll maybe see level 3s. Grapes we really want, though. Again, food is good for alchemy, and basically potions have levels. They have levels between 1 and 9. And so the whole idea is that you want to try and, get as many high-level potions as you can, and they have specific recipes. Food does not have a recipe, though, that is related to it. So putting food into potions doesn't do anything other than make it stronger. Which is really good. Because, well, we need to make some strong potions for the end of the game.
So you just want as much food as you can, just be able to bump up the level of those potions.
Yep, but you also have limited inventory is the hard part. So it's sort of why we'll toss out potions sometimes at weird spots just to get rid of them, get them out of my inventory. Because we only have 32 inventory spots, and we use them up, which is bad, because then we have to, figure out a way to dump our inventory, and usually that's by doing alchemy, which is honestly a little slow.
Is it one of those things where, going in and out of the alchemy takes time, so you'd rather do it in one segment if you can?
Absolutely. And so we want to grab all the things that we need to do alchemy, but we also, don't want to waste time doing alchemy more than once. If we can help it. I mean, I'm on decent pace right now. I'm only about a minute behind my PB right now, which is alright. And we're at the proper exit, so that's good. But we're also grabbing as much equipment as we can grab, and it's not to equip it, but you know how we mentioned alchemy? The most important potion in the game is called Overload, like we said before, that increases your damage. Overload requires a bottle plus 2 pieces of equipment. So we're going to make sure that we gather as many pieces of equipment as we can, preferably 4. Sometimes you can get away with 6, but in this route it's not strictly necessary because you get an overload potion in the Epilogue from a required fight. Okay, so elementals have 1 hit point. You can also just block to kill them. So if you make a mistake, you can just hold the attack button down and just let them just run into your block and they'll die. The ice elementals are very annoying because they freeze you, and freeze slows you down, and that, you know, is bad. Also, you could check the map using the touchpad. You could just pull the map up, which is sort of useful for not forgetting. I see Tetsuo over there complaining about Blimp, and it's just like, please don't complain about Blimp. Blimp is my favorite boss fight. We'll get to Blimp. Blimp is in this route, which is part of why I like running this route.
I mean, people are allowed to like different things.
Yeah, I know, and Blimp is awesome. Some people really hate Blimp because Blimp kills runs, because Blimp is one of the mini-bosses you can just die on.
Oh, okay.
It has a gigantic flamethrower, and if you get caught by the gigantic flamethrower and you're not prepped properly for it, you will die. And then you'll hear noises come from my mouth that are usually complaining. Do I have a Blaze Potion for this? Please tell me I have a Blaze Potion in my inventory. Alright, time for the most annoying mini-boss in the game, Frostbitten. He's a big ol' towering pile of meat who punches you. And is vulnerable to... and does that. You don't want to get caught in the ice thrower, because as you can see, my health is now down by half already. And now he's out of control. We have lost control of the boss, everybody. We are in trouble already. Alright, we're back in control. Also, Frostbitten will stun from Thunder Attack, so I need to remember that. If I hit it. It's a little timing tough, but... You can also just sort of perch on his face and swing away, but he does this attack then, which will knock you off. Doesn't do a ton of damage, just the knockback is really a nuisance. Alright, we're gonna take a quick safety here, I don't lose time to this. Also, you'll even notice that even your potion drinking is slowed down when you're frozen.
Can that make it so you don't like actually get to drink it in time, or does the action of drinking it just freeze you and make you safe?
It does not make you safe.
Ooh.
You get a lot of front-end invincibility from it, though, so it's usually okay. But I have been knocked out of a potion drink, and it's been real bad.
Especially if you're frozen and it takes longer, then you have a higher risk of that happening, I guess?
Mm-hmm. Alright, so we're through here alive. Very slow, but we're gonna grab this Muggle, which is fruit. We're gonna grab this Blaze Potion, which is a Blaze Potion. I'm gonna grab this cheese, because cheese is food, and food is experience.
I assume the most important thing is just getting through that in one try.
Uh-huh. By far, the most important thing is not dying there, which is super, super important. So we have one more climb here. I usually check that spot because it's usually a turnip, but I have 3 already and a Cyclone Potion, so I'm close to what I need. I need another Cyclone and another turnip, so I'm kind of okay. Might require that I do some really tricky crafting later to sort of make sure I have the materials I need to get the ooze quick later. Oh, good crit. Boop. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye, everybody. Also, crits have reach, so... Also, the thing is, there's these bigger elementals, too, that show up. They don't have 1 hit point, but they die instantly to any elemental attack, so you just fire a spark bolt at them and they die. Oh, that was a really bad room, too. Did they take damage or something? Man, oh man. I am really feeling it right now. Alright, here we are. Wagner is very hard to keep on lockdown, but you'll see. I apologize, it sounded like you were going to say something.
No, I was just thinking, because somebody in chat asked if this is related to Dust and Elysian Tale, but I believe that it is a different developer.
Completely different, yes.
I had to stop and think about it for a second. I was like, I don't think so.
Ooh, give me that. Second Cyclone Potion. We're on our way now.
Nice. At what point can we start getting the Whirlwind Potions?
They drop anywhere. So, like, it is a rarer drop, though, right? Like, some potions are just less common drops than others. Like, the two big ones are Whirlwind and Fire Spirits, and you only see those when you're running good. We're not running great today, so we're not getting lucky, basically.
Yeah, I was just curious if they only started appearing after a certain point or not. So it's just pure
RNG from boss tables that they don't have like a ton of information on. So, ow, am I on 36 health? We have to fix that really quick because I do not want to drop this fight to my own aggression because we want to keep taking damage to sort of continue these juggle chains. You don't juggle Wagner, but again, when his health bar breaks, he goes into stun state. As you can see, he's flying now, and that's bad. And I'm out of the ability to throw Spark Bolts, which is also bad. So we are in danger of Wagner flying away from me, and we don't want that. Oh, he did the short flight. That's good. Could have done the long fly, which is annoying as anything. The short fly is fine. He does an attack where he flies all the way around the entirety of the screen, and it's a great attack, but we don't want to see it.
I assume that takes a while for him to fly around the entire screen as well.
Especially because I always try to chase him rather than running towards his face, and even if you run towards his face, sometimes he'll fly past you.
Oh no.
It's hilarious and also terrible. But here we get the ability Stun Enhancement, which we're going to level up in a minute. We're not going to level it up right this second, because we want the final rank of Spiral Claw, because it makes it 5% cheaper. Which drops it from 30, which drops it to 25%, which means I can use 4 of them at a time in a juggle without thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a really big breakpoint.
Yep. There's a big breakpoint for a couple of characters going from 2 to 3 or 3 to 4. We're also going to take Backstab here. Backstab is when the enemy is behind us, or when the enemy is in front of us, or when we're behind the enemy, excuse me, they take 20% more damage. So who wants to see some lovingly rendered food?
Ooh, me.
All right, we'll ride this one out here, because I do need to grab a meal here, because I need the experience points. And also give me a chance to rest my hands. In actual speedruns, we use IGT, so these scenes are actually honestly okay to see. But, of course, I don't sit through them in practice, because I've seen a lot of them. But look at that lovingly rendered food. Look at that lovingly rendered piece of fish right there.
Ooh.
Does that not look delicious?
Had to make it bigger on my screen so I can see it better. Yeah, it looks really good.
Yeah, all of the food looks really good. But we only grab things that use gold coins, so that is all the food we're going to get right now. And we're going to bail out of here. So we are now going to end up in basically the main stage of the storyline, which is the War of the Cauldron, so front lines of the Cauldron War. Basically, we're going to fight both fairies and Valkyries at this stage, because they're in the middle of a war right now. Over that artifact that they could use to rule the world. But, of course, Cornelius needs to break the curse on his people and turn them to not bunny people anymore, so that's why he's here.
So we're sort of the person showing up to the war going, I'm done with both of your nonsense. I've got stuff to do.
Uh-huh. He's here with a purpose, and his purpose is to beat up everybody. Set up my exit. This is the exit we want. Why would you not want to be bunny people? Well, you know, being bunny people is really rad, but apparently it's a very cursed state in Norse mythology, I guess. I truly do not know. They're adorable. Look at Cornelius. Look at those ears.
I mean, my main thing would be they didn't choose to be bunny people.
That's basically it. So, everyone's complaining about, but this is Blimp. So after you do the first gauge of health off of Blimp, it gets a giant shield and summons a Berserker Warrior, which has 1 gauge of health, which we are going to try to kill as fast as we can.
Oh, so you actively cannot juggle the Blimp because it interrupts it.
Yep. And the Blimp is constantly firing at you. I'm going to set myself on fire, though. And also, you cannot use your power abilities on it, basically, because you'll dash away. You don't actually get caught on it like you do most enemies. And of course, after you do enough damage, there's the flamethrower. You can see it below my feet. after you do enough damage, one of the balloons pops, and now you can't deal damage to that balloon anymore. Ow, 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 ow.
So you just lose a hitbox, then it takes longer to damage it?
Yep.
Yeah, that seems less than optimal.
But here's the thing: is that you see all these bombs and missiles and things. If you hit them, they get reflected back at the mini boss. Okay, we're just gonna do that real quick. And now there are 2 drops we want here, and we are gonna hope we got them both. Here's a turnip. That's our last turnip. Those are all Cubs Banes. Great. The level 7 healing tonic. Perfect. And there should be a level 7 material if I am lucky. Level 7 material. See, and you can see my bag is already full. Which is absolutely no good. So we're going to do a little quick crafting here to dump our inventory a little bit. But here, we're going to make a 7 overload now. I'm going to be able to make my... nope. Back out 2, please. I'm going to make a whirlwind here, but we're going to dump some juice into it here. We're going to make it level 5. Using this and this. We're going to make our other whirlwind potion, which we're going to use as level 2. We're going to burn off a couple of these shine potions that we don't need. We're going to burn off a couple more level 2 materials. We're going to dump this muggle into it. We're going to use another level 2 material. We're going to use this level 2 shine potion. We're going to make that level 5 as well. And we're going to throw 2 turnips at it to make it a whirlwind potion. Alright, so now we have 2 whirlwind potions. We've dumped a bunch of inventory. We're going to grab this level 7 here. We're going to throw 2 pieces of equipment into this. Make our other level 7 overload. And do I have a blaze potion? I have a level 3 blaze. Awesome. So we're going to throw that in there. We're going to make it fire spirits. Can't really make it better than 4, which is fine. But we're going to make it level 4. And we need this for the last boss as well. Alright. All of our alchemy is done. We are done. Yay. We are done mixing bottles. We're going to grab bottles that we grab, though, because we're going to throw them all at specific bosses at specific times. And I lied. We're not actually completely done. I do actually need to do 1 more piece of alchemy now that I think about it. Make a level 3 toxin. How many level 3 toxins do I have right now? I have 1. I have a level 2. We're going to consume this blaze potion. We're going to make that a toxin potion. All right, we have 3 toxin potions, which we need for the end of chapter 6. So we're good. Now we're good. Now we're done making potions.
Yay again!
Yay again! It needs to get done. Did not slide far enough. There's a down attack that lets you break guard, but you have to sort of let it travel a little bit because it doesn't go very far.
So is that the... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Is that the successful attempt in trying to carry all the crafting into 1 session?
Yeah, not really. I want to try and carry it a little bit later into the run if I can. The later you do it, the better stuff you have to do it with.
Oh, okay.
So that's kind of the idea. So here we get a key. The key is used to get to the second part of the stage, so we're going to actually get warp back to here. We're going to go into here, and we're going to run to the right. And we're going to run to the right, and we're going to make sure we jump over these dwarves, because otherwise they'll stop our run. And we're going to run the key into the door. Don't explode, thank you. Now we're sort of in the second part of the stage. There's another locked door in this room that we need to go get a key from, so we're going to go down, and we're going to go right, and we're going to go down, and we're going to go right for the right room, and we're going to get our second key for this stage, and that'll open up access to the boss. Also, flying enemies get funny ground state because they don't ever ground state officially. So when they hit the ground, they basically... Oh, come on. See, there's a wasted crit. You see that long animation, you just hit the air. So basically, you just knock them into the ground, and then they bounce right back up for more comboing. But yeah. If you have extra potions, it's usually really good to throw them at these swarm rooms because there's just so many enemies. But again, this is the other part of kind of having done my alchemy already, so I'm a little shy on materials right now. And yes, there is a category for every character, and there is a category called All Characters Good Ending, where you do all 5 characters and then the end of the game. OC has done that run once, and I think he has like a 540 doing it, which is just absolutely beautiful. I joke that I have the world record in this category, but don't, because he just hasn't ever given us a individual run of it. He's only done it in all characters, and has like a 108 or 109.
Someone in chat is asking who your favorite character is.
So that is a very loaded question. So when I think about the characters in this game, like, they're all very different. If I go with my team affiliation, the RPG Valkyries, of course, it's Gwendolyn. If I go with just from a playing standpoint and how I... Oh god, come on, see, a boss way out of control right now. And I go with sort of the character that I like playing the most, it's probably Cornelius. Mercedes is also... See, look at this attack. Goes all the way around the stage once and twice and breaks your guard, and we have lost control of this fight. At the end of it, he goes into stun state, though. But, you know, Gwendolyn's great, Mercedes is great, Cornelius is... Like, every character is great except Oswald. Oswald's a garbage character to play, and nobody likes him. Not actually a controversial talking point, I'm sure. Don't float on me. Sometimes if you touch the ceiling, they break juggle state, which you don't want.
I think there's at least one person who takes issue with that statement in chat.
That's fair. Your mileage may vary. All characters are good in their own way. I just know what I like, which is losing control of easy mini bosses tonight, apparently. All right, I got through that alive. This should be my key, so I don't really need to set up an exit because I'm just going to teleport. Hard disagreement from chat on Oswald. That is fair. Alright. I mean...
Like I said before, we're allowed to like different things.
5 characters, you're allowed to like different characters. All 5 of them are valid in their own ways. And we're going to do some eating right here. We're going to grab this cheese. We're going to grab this shrimp. What is wrong with Oswald? Oswald, it's just a berserk mechanic. While it's a great mechanic, you just don't get enough of it. Until you really know how to juggle with him, you just don't get it. You just never get enough of it. Hi, Mercedes. She's over there. She's got the big glowing crossbow. She's got one of the special weapons. Oh, good crit time, because that'll stave me from taking that hit, and put her in juggle state. So Mercedes does a lot of work from range, and we don't love that.
So we're a bunny with a sword, and we like to be up close with our attacks.
Right. Also, Mercedes is a little disturbing. You can see that she's drawing in the Phozons from the area, because she has one of the Phozon drawing in weapons called a Cipher as well. There's one really disturbing thing about that, is she's basically draining the souls of her fallen allies that I've killed.
Yeah, you said Phozon is like the life force, right?
Yep. So you know how I mentioned juggling, right? So you saw how I had 2 of the chaff enemies in my juggle at the same time? That's real good.
Yeah, because that increases your chain counter, right?
Yep, because I'm hitting 3 enemies instead of 1, so my chain is going up by 3 every hit instead of 1. So now my chain's at like 220.
Is there a cap to the damage scaling on the chain counter?
999 hits is the top end cap.
Ooh.
That was actually a very good Mercedes fight on top of a very bad Chapter 5, so I guess I'll take that.
Do you know what the highest chain you've gotten in a speedrun of this game is? Like, ballpark figure?
In the upper 400s. It was on one of the last bosses. I might actually hit that number because I think it's on this route. It's on the last boss because you basically throw the kitchen sink at the last boss, and the last boss just sort of disintegrates. But we're gonna get our second rank of stun. We're gonna get our second rank of stun enhancement and Sunstriker, which increases our damage against dizzied foes. Obviously, really good. And we're gonna grab the ability Charge Up, which increases the auto recovery speed of our power by a little bit. I don't remember if there's a trophy for chain count Gaitatsu. I just don't remember. It's been a while. I have the platinum for this game, but I got it like at launch because I played the heck out of it. Who wants more lovingly rendered food?
Ooh, 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 ooh.
Give my hands a second.
You're gonna make me have to get food after the show today.
Yeah, I hope you like seafood because this is gonna be some lovingly rendered shrimp for the seafood salad here. Look at that shrimp right there, right in the middle of the screen. Also, you'll notice I play in Japanese. There is zero difference between Japanese and English, other than the pitch of the screaming of your enemies.
I do like how she carries the food out, and she's leaning back like it's really heavy, and then she stands up straight and puts it on your table with one hand. It's like,
she is actually very powerful.
Yeah. Very strong bunny waitress.
Mm-hmm. Alright, we're going to remember to grab 2 Mars Bangles here. It's very hard to get the money for 3, but you know we said that it's 10%. This one increases it by 16%, but also gives you a second passive, which is as your HP goes down, your damage goes up even further.
Oh boy.
So
the self-immolation strats get better?
We're gonna try to ride the health damage edge a little bit as we go along. You can do some very, very unsafe things. You know, I mentioned how the Mercedes route, I think before we started running, I have like a 1 hour and 30 second in-game time, and I'm trying to push a 58. Part of pushing that 58 is doing most of the boss fights at under half health.
Oh.
Where
That's what you meant by it's very risky. Yeah, okay.
Where one mistake will probably kill you. We're not going to ride the damage edge too hard here. We're going to play it fairly safe and just take advantage of the increased damage that we're going to deal. But Oswald also gets a passive that gives him 20% more damage when he's low on health. So Oswald can really, really do some frightening things. But we're going to jump down here. This is actually a hidden path. There's normally a foes on there. We skip it. But we want to get to this room because that's the door to the boss. But we need a key. We need Blue Flame. So we're going to go get Blue Flame. It's going to require a little wandering around. It's pretty far away. But we'll just teleport back there when we're done. So those are fire elementals. Much like the ice elementals, they have 1 hit point, but they will burn you on hit. Most of the enemies in the volcano will unsurprisingly set you on fire.
I'm just trying to think of how bad it would smell as a bunny being set on fire.
I try not to think about the singed fur, but now I'm thinking about it. Alright, setting up a lower right exit here. So normally if I need to do more alchemy, I'd actually care about this box because it gives me some Habaneristos, but I've already made my 1 Fire Spirits potion. I'd make a second one, but I don't use it on this route. I use it on most other routes, but again, the boss quick kill that we need for this one is the Whirlwind Potion, so we're good. This is Child of Fire. Not to be confused with noted RPG Child of Light.
Still haven't gotten rid of that game.
It is very good. One of our RPG Valkyrie Silverfire, their brother, runs Child of Light Takaze. And he is a joy to watch. But Child of Fire, of course, you juggle her, but it's not strictly necessary because she's a flying enemy. So as you can see, she bounces out directly into more damage, basically, when she hits the ground. And then she summons some enemies here, and unsurprisingly, we want her to do that. Because they will help us extend and or keep our chain alive.
And they'll inflate the chain counter.
Yeah. It's just the window to keep your chain counter is fairly short, so you have to be very careful because it's easy to drop it when you drop her if you don't go down after her directly. Like, I just bounced her instead of pushing down after the third hit, so I lose my chain that way. Alright, we're going to grab this. This is a coca plant. This is one of the best foods in the game that is a material. We want that. And we got a little bit of platforming here. You can jump on those edges there, and you can actually use it to speed your way up a little bit more, because these are ledges and these are ledges. And we want to avoid the teleporter there, because it's hard to jump off of it. And we're through that. And we have the most annoying enemy in the game here. These are volcanoes. Look how annoying they are. They jump at you, they sit there. They continue to sit there after they're dead, though. And you don't want to be near them. As you can see, they kind of explode.
Yeah, I was curious. Are those the classic exploding enemies trope?
Yep! It's a beat 'em up. We had to have them.
I'm surprised we made it this far without them, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, they're the only ones. They're a nuisance. They break super armor, they do a solid amount of damage, and they burn you pretty heavily. There's 3 ranks of burn, basically. And they will apply at least rank 2, if not, since this is fairly late in the game, rank 3. And here's the other mini-boss of the stage. This is Chocobutt. We want to keep Chocobutt completely under control, especially in the last 2 health bars. Most of the attacks, not terribly scary. Not too much to worry about. We'll take some damage. Taking some damage is good. But last health bar, we are going to try to not lose control, because otherwise you're going to see the worst attack in the game.
I was curious about the name, and then I saw the stun animation. I was like, oh, okay.
This is the boss that eats all my Mercedes runs. So instead of the usual name of Tweety Bird, which a couple people have given this boss, I have started calling it Chocobutt because reasons.
Yeah, that stun animation makes it pretty clear.
Don't do that. So you see, when he raises his spear high in the ground like that, he will strike the ground and cause a gigantic flame pillar to come out, separating you from the boss. And
it's that boss.
And spewing fire all over the battlefield. It is super easy to keep under control with Gwendolyn. I usually don't have a problem with Cornelius. Mercedes, I try to shoot through the fire pillar for speed. I am not a wise girl. I am, aggressive as all get out when it comes to things like that. But we're done here. We're gonna light the lamp.
Sometimes in speedruns you leave the wisdom behind, and you go for speed.
Yeah, you go for pure danger right there. But we're gonna eat that for a level, for 3,000 experience. Not a level, because we just gained a level, but we're also just gonna get it a little bit. Everything you eat gives you a little bit of maximum health as well, which is important. Is it time to die? So, of course, again, shoutouts to my team member, Silverfire. Their nickname is Tiny Dragon. Welcome to Tiny Dragon Run Killer. It is Leventhan. Nope, don't want to get hit by that attack, but I am anyway. Alright, we're playing this very dangerously right now.
Oh, yeah, I see your health.
We are gonna be okay, because we do have that. So there's 3 phases to this fight, basically. First phase is this one, which is, lots of fairly dangerous attacks. Hard to juggle. You'll see that the crown has fallen off now that we're about halfway through the first health bar. With the crown off, our tiny dragon friend is very vulnerable. And that's good. Dropped a healing potion, which I should grab. But the whole idea is that Tiny Dragon wants the crown back. The crown initiates phase 3 of this fight. That was not a juggle state? That is a juggle state. Nope, that's not a juggle state either. Phase 3 gets a ton of armor, is completely unjuggleable, and starts hitting massively hard.
So is it possible to keep Tiny Dragon in phase 2 by preventing it from getting the crown back?
Some characters yes, some characters no. Real easy with Oswald. Basically impossible with Cornelius and Mercedes. As you can see, already there. This is why we crafted those extra toxic potions, because we are going to start throwing them in a sec. I figured that my run's already in bad shape as it is, so, well, we'll show off me trying to deal with Tiny Dragon Murder Machine. Very bad times here. There was a healing potion on the ground. I need it. We're good. You cannot burn to death. Interestingly enough, you will stay at one. You will stay at 1 hit point. And again, Mercedes route. I have done that before. And you can see drops. Ooh, Fire Spirit's 4. Good drop.
That's just a big old fire Kamehameha.
Uh huh.
That's the worst attack in the game you were referencing to?
That and the giant fireball, but yeah, both of those will kill you. Giant fireball also applies burn 3. It's one of the few attacks in the game that applies hard burn 3. The nice thing about those attacks is since they're very slow, you can get behind Leventhan and do a lot of back attacks, which, with backstab, does a lot of extra damage. Last health gauge. So, the super armor state is worn off. That's how long this fight will go sometimes, if you're not doing it correctly. Can you imagine? I've had a 200 chain on this fight before. With this character, not with Gwendolyn. Gwendolyn's free. Anybody who's played this game knows that getting long chains on Gwendolyn is the freest thing in the world because of Needle Strike and how it works. I didn't lose Juggle for a moment there. Interesting. Second summons. Get out of that life. But yeah, Tiny Dragon Run Killer. Yes, chat, all that boosted damage of 1 HP. Not happening. Not tonight.
Do you get more for being at 1?
You get the full amount. You get the full extra, in this case, 24% damage at 1 health.
Oh my goodness.
Again, you can really ride it thin if you want to.
The real danger strats.
Yeah, the problem is that, remember, the big thing about Spiral is that you get super armor, you still take damage.
Oh, you still take damage.
Right.
It doesn't negate it. Okay.
It does not negate damage. It just gives you hit stun. It gives you hit stun protection. That's all.
Okay, I was thinking like fighting games where super armor just blocks the hit entirely. Okay, that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah, I apologize. I'm thinking about like super armor from fighting games where it doesn't block the damage, but you also just go through it. You ignore the hit stun from it. All right, last chapter, the epilogue. Hopefully, this run's not going super great. I'm a little behind, bumpy mid game, but that's fine. Because if I get one particular quick kill in this chapter, all is good.
Seeing a run where you have to pull out some backup strats can be just as interesting as seeing like a really well done run with no mistakes as well. Like, especially in these showcases, like you see a little bit more of the game when you have to pull out the backups.
Mm-hmm. You get to see some of the cool animations and really pretty backgrounds and all the things I don't want to see, but you get to see anyway because it's a beautiful game.
It is.
All right, so we're setting up a right exit here. This is a small room, so I don't want to go too far. So we're done grabbing treasure chests. This door leads to the boss that we're going to try to quick kill in a minute, but we need to get a key for it, so we're going to go around. And we're going to go and grab ourselves a key, but we've got to get through a couple fights first. So when these get knocked up in the air, by the way, they throw out a dagger, which your aerial attack will automatically parry right back into them for additional damage. So that's why we're getting the kill on the first one without swinging again. Just when we jump up, it looks like they're not dying, but they're actually dying. Like, the funny thing is I'm level 27 and these are usually like level 40.
You was seeing that at certain points you're entering a screen and it tells you what level the screen is, and we've been getting progressively further behind those level markers.
Yep. There's a lot of different ways to eat food. There's basically Mori the traveling chef who can make food for you on the road, and, you know, there's just food in shops, and, you know, progressively better food gives you progressively more experience. We don't do much of that in this route. Alright. Alright, Uncle Wizrope, I need you to stop teleporting around. I need you to stop. Am I going the right way? I'm going the wrong way. That's fine. So we get a Phozon Prism here, which is Epilogue, which is every character gets basically a super special that is super animated and, like, blows up the screen and does not do as much damage as actually punching the enemies. And, of course, it uses 50 Phozon to use in the first place. We do not get enough levels in this run to get enough Phozon power to use Epilogue anyway.
This is kind of disappointing. Like, it's big and pretty and over the top and just not very useful.
And it's completely bad. Alright, so this is the Wizard Dive Room. We're going to try and kill this. We're going to try and get through this in 7 seconds. That is the goal. 668. Not bad. That's more of a point of personal pride, because that room is so fast. It's like, what's the difference between getting like a 6-4 and like a 7-1? It's like 0.7 of a second. Alright, everybody. This is what we did all that crafting for. Formless Organism King Ooze, who will do a lot of splitting up. Ooh, good crit time. And this is what we have this first Overload Potion for, which we are going to drink now. So we are going to greatly increase our damage output here, and just bounce King Ooze all over the place, splitting it into its component molecules. So King Ooze, after the second health bar, will split in half. We're not too put out if he splits in half. But let's try not to do that, shall we? So we're going to stop hitting it for a sec here. Go frozen, please. Not going to freeze. Okay, that sucks. Alright, didn't freeze. Not a super big concern.
Oh, if he freezes, you can keep him from splitting?
Correct. See, now I did not get that, because the second one split completely. The good news is that you can see it's taking a ton of damage from these whirlwind potions, because I have it centered on the screen, and they bounce off the edges of the screen, which is kind of neat in a way. You can see the second one did not split, and just sort of died. This one's now frozen. He grabbed me. How dare you? So not the ideal quick kill, but a good one nonetheless.
We saw enough of it to get the idea.
Yeah, I got half the quick kill. I'm just gonna use stun bolts now just to keep that from bouncing around too much. That was a good kill. I'm happy with that. I'm still sub 7 at this point in the chapter, which is good. That could have gone a lot worse.
Is that just a luck thing? Sometimes the freeze just doesn't happen?
Yeah, sometimes you just... well, with the Overload, I was doing too much damage, interestingly enough. I think Overload 7 is too much for that fight. So basically, I was hitting it too hard and just broke stun state too... or broke the ice state too fast. I should have thrown the whirlwind sooner.
Okay.
It's a timing thing. I'm used to using like an Overload 4 on that fight, which doesn't increase your damage by that big of a multiplier compared to 7. So, bad at math.
It's not often you hear the phrase, I did too much damage.
I also had backup Cyclone Potions for the small ones, so I was pretty okay there, just, you know, didn't get the full quick kill, which, you know, would have made me a little happier just from a showing off standpoint more than anything. All right, so the way to the boss is locked to the right, so instead of going right, we're going to go left. And we are going to deal with more of these armored soldiers. There's the upgraded versions that'll come out, which are there's three versions of these. Again, more hit points, blocks more often. Also gets a special attack where it throws a wave of energy out at you. That was a weird juggle. Everyone's feeling really floaty today. But you can see that one's armor is a little different color and its helmet's nicer. He's a better soldier because he's got a nicer looking hat.
I mean, that is the standard RPG metric.
Yeah, you're not wrong. We're going to grab this here level 3 overload because we're going to use that on a mini boss because, hey, it's there. We might as well.
The only thing better than the nice hat is no hat, because then you know they're a main character.
Yeah, then they have, like, main character protection. That's really important. So that ooze just has a ton of hit points, so there's a reason why we hung on to this for a while, because we just want to burn it, because it'll take a ton of damage from the burn. We can just sort of ignore it now for a little bit. Alright, Giant Wizard Eye is kind of a nuisance. You cannot just go out and buy a nice hat, you have to earn it the hard way.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's usually by really committing to dying to the hero. Main character is a bunny. Overload. I mean, I have 2 Fire Spirits potions. I guess I'll burn one here. There's no point in keeping it. You can't take it with you when you're done. Unless you're doing good ending. So Fire Spirits, you can see, leaves these 3 spiraling fireballs around me. They make juggling a nuisance, but they hit so hard, it's worth it.
It reminds me of the spike balls in Shantae.
Yeah, that's a really good way to look at it. And of course, Cornelius is not too put out by not being able to juggle enemies, honestly, so I'm just gonna bring him back to the ground real fast here. More crits, huh?
Those crits really do a lot of damage.
And their damage is multiplied by your chain multiplier for Assault High, too, so...
Ooh.
And multiplied by if they're stunned. And multiplied if you're stabbing them in the back when you do it.
Oh my goodness. So you can get some real big crits if everything lines up right.
Yep, if the stars are with you, you can do some pretty severe damage here. We're gonna break through that. We're gonna do some quick aerial fireball swag there. For no reason other than I can. We're gonna need our last key. We are almost done with the game now. I'm a little sad.
Well, I've had fun.
This is a great run. And the last boss in this route is legitimately the most anticlimactic thing. Because they're just going to stand still in like 2 Blaze Potions, a Fire Spirits, an Overload 7, a couple of Volcano Potions. I think I have a Toxin in my inventory. I am going to literally throw the kitchen sink at this thing. And we are going to melt the final boss.
So it'll be a spectacle.
Oh, it's going to be beautiful. You know, we mentioned getting that chain counter through the roof. It's about to do it. It's about to happen.
Oh boy, I'm looking forward to it.
Here we go. I don't have a Shine Potion. I think I burned off the Shine Potion. We're going to throw this Blaze 4. We're going to throw this... we're going to set up the Fire Spirits. We're going to drink our Overload. Toxin Potion? Yeah, Toxin Potion's good too, right? We're just not going to throw out the Cyclones because Freeze negates Fire, and that's bad. Blaze Potion. Volcano Potion.
Oh my goodness.
Volcano Potion. Another Blaze Potion. Yeah, we're good. Time to actually start playing the game, I guess. Gonna stun him. from behind. And time is when the last hit occurs.
Okay.
It'll be on the flash. There's time. Not bad.
That was a spectacle.
Here's everything I got. You want it? I got it. I'm throwing it.
We picked it up for a reason.
Yep. We picked it up, we threw it out there, we did the damage. Our actual time is the in-game time, so I'm actually going to put this book down and check my IGT. 1:15:56 with checking out some food and hanging out a little bit. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Yeah. It was a good run.
It's a fun run. It's pretty high-paced. Again, enemy control is the big difference in times a lot of the time, and a little bit of potion luck. Potion luck was okay. I'd had to do some crafting, and I had to do my crafting early, which kind of stung a little bit, but what are we going to do? And of course, we do have to go with the most important part of the run. Hang on a second. Come here, you.
Oh, is it time to pet the cat?
It's time to pet the cat. If I didn't pet the cat, everybody who watches my stream on Saturday and Sunday mornings would be really put out, so we got to pet the cat.
All right. So while we're petting the cat, do you have any shoutouts?
Of course, first and foremost, shout out to the RPG Valkyries, my team. They actually just took me on as a full member last month during Speedrun Ragnarok, and I'm super, super happy about that. So that's really cool. I see a bunch of names in chat that I know, Cervante, Liveria out there, and a couple of others that have been poking around in the chat, who have been supporting me for a very, very long time on my stream, Lucky Starscream, Sealy Faye, just the people who have been with me since the beginning of this RPG speedrunning journey, and all my randomizer friends who have been really awesome throughout the whole thing. Of course, special shout-outs to the Free Enterprise community, because they are the community that got me into speedrunning. And, of course, specific shout-outs to Silverfire, because Silverfire, and they know why. And to Amy Kythera, who was in chat earlier, who is my loving and supportive girlfriend who puts up with all of my speedrunning endeavors and is, like, when I said, hey, I'm going to GDQ in January, she's like, have fun, don't bring back the flu.
It's important.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for having me tonight.
Now, I have another question for you.
Absolutely.
If people wanted to get into speedrunning this game, where would they go?
So apparently there's a Discord that I'm not a part of. The community is really, really small for this game. And so it's the kind of thing where I kind of want to build it up, but I kind of want to build it up a little bit from scratch, just because the community is just so small right now. It's like, it's me, it's OC, Witch's Hex runs this on occasion, and there's a couple of people who ran it last year, but no one's running this game right now. Like, this and Muramasa, the two big Vanillaware games, really deserve more speedrunners. They are fantastic, fantastic RPG beat-em-ups. If you haven't played them, play them. Play them for the storylines, play them for the lovingly rendered food, and then play them for the highly technical and very fast-paced speedruns with just enough RNG to keep you on your toes.
Sounds like a good plan. Do you have anything else you'd like to say before we go to break?
No. Again, thank you so much for having me. I've only been running this game for like a week, for like a month and a half now. It's a good pickup, and I'm just trying to get everything in shape for all 5 routes, because they're all a little bit different and they're all a lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much for being here. Just as a reminder, this is the Community Spotlight. We have another game coming up. Tetsuo 9999 is going to be doing Fight and Rage for us, since we were unable to do it last week due to technical difficulties. So stick around. And as a quick reminder, Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits. So thank you for tuning in, and we would appreciate it if you would consider subscribing to support future broadcasts. We'll be back in just a few minutes. All right, everyone, welcome back to the Community Spotlight. We have Tetsuo 9999 here, who, after some unfortunate technical difficulties last week, is going to be doing Fight and Rage for us. So this will be the second half of our little Brawler Spotlight that we have for you today. And just as a quick reminder, make sure that this Thursday you tune in at the normal time for the first step, 7 p.m. Eastern, as they have returned back to their Thursday slot. But Tetsuo, why don't you give us the quick rundown of what we can expect to see for this game?
Hey, I'm going to be doing this on Turbo Mode, which is basically, if you've ever played the Devil May Cry games, a lot of the times those games have a Turbo Mode where you can play. I don't know exactly how much faster it is, in DMC it's like 20%, but here it basically just makes the game faster. I actually have gotten to the point where I can't play it on normal mode anymore because I've beat the game so many times on Turbo. I just thought it was a fun way to add an extra challenge to the game. I'll be self-commentating. I'll be trying to get a 1cc. It should be fine. I actually just did a practice run while I was out doing errands earlier today, which is why I was kind of late. But yeah, let's get right into it.
All right. So when you're ready, why don't you give me the countdown?
All right. Alright, so here's the turbo mode here. This game is actually pretty cool. It actually has built-in speedrun data and splits. So when you beat the game, it'll actually pull up your splits at the end and show you how well you did compared to that last time you did that route. The game has multiple routes, kind of similar to, most similar to probably Metal Slug 3. Final Fight 3 had kind of a more rudimentary form of these routes and things like that, but I'm just going to be doing normal turbo, and I'll be doing the speedrun route. There's not really that many people that speedrun this. Our well-known good friend, Half Coordinated, he actually ran this game for a while, so if you're familiar with him, you're familiar with the speedrunner of this game. So, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and start. 3, 2, 1, go. So Gal is like the fast Lin Kurosawa type character. She actually has some throw tech that I found. You can actually catch the enemy in air after a throw. And what that allows you to do is have much more crowd control than any of the other characters in the game. I was actually just playing on normal mode right now while I was waiting for the break to be over, and I couldn't do it anymore because I'm used to the turbo speeds. So there's a parry. If you ever played Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, it works pretty much the same way here. You push forward right before an enemy attacks you, and you negate the attack, and you also get full SP meter, which means that you can go straight to a punish. Generally, with most characters, you want to do a right special, or directional special, and then go straight to a combo.
Does it give you like the frame advantage like it does in Street Fighter? To where
you just negate the attack entirely. So there's the throw tech right there. Okay, so I need to pick up the sword here. Miss Linda here is not cooperating. The enemies are not called Lindas, but I call them Lindas because I'm an old man and I used to play Double Dragon. Very much the same kind of character archetype, the whip and everything. Linda does not want to cooperate today. Alright, still got the good route. So normally here, he will kill that NPC if you move at all. So what you have to do is you have to carry a knife or a sword from the earlier part of the scene, and you have to throw it at him with attack and jump. And that will make him spare that NPC. Also, this boss here just straight up has M. Bison Slide from Street Fighter, so maybe he'll do it again.
His outfit is kind of M. Bison as well.
Yeah, he just straight up has the slide. No Psycho Crusher, though.
So you mentioned throw tech earlier. What does the throw tech do?
The throw tech allows you to continue a combo on an enemy while they're still in hit stun from being thrown forward or backwards. What that allows you to do is to kind of group other enemies into that same juggle and control what they're doing. Can't get my secret knee off. There it is. So Gal has 2 secret moves. One's like a knee, and the other one's like a slash kick from Joe Higashi and King of Fighters. Let's see if I can do the slash kick. There we go. They aren't too useful in the speedrun, they just give a little bit of variety. The slash kick in general is just good for when the enemies are all in a straight line in front of you.
Is there anything like a Super Joy in this game?
Yes,
Where
the
you do
Super Joy is
moves
very
that
much
health?
like Streets of Rage 3, where you can use it without the bar and lose health, or you can use it with the bar and take no health. Also, the parry, like I said, gives you the bar back right away, just to incentivize using it. Alright, so here's the one of the bosses I'm not a big fan of, because he doesn't stagger very often. Case in point right there. Sometimes I lose a life here when I beat this game like 1,000 times. Generally just want to keep throwing, because that's a guaranteed hit stun. I got a little bit too greedy there. He was almost about to put me in his pile driver. There he goes.
So you're playing on normal difficulty. What do the different difficulties change in this game?
The AI gets more aggressive. Okay, just gonna skip a bunch of emotional cutscenes here, and then the whole village is destroyed. And you start off with the, I don't know what it's called, the Power Sphere. Basically, this allows you to cancel any move into anything, but in the speedrun's sake, or case, you generally just want to mash buttons and group everything together, because when you use moves, it depletes the gauge faster. I did a bit of a practice run earlier, and I actually cleared this whole part perfectly with the Power Sphere, but not this time.
So is there any spawn manipulation in this game, or is it all just trying to group them up?
It's
and
supposed to just
kill
like
them?
beat 'em ups, you know, it's RNG. Oops, upstep and paused. Man, these electric cats are not cooperating today.
Yeah, just knowing that in some the side-scrolling beat 'em ups like this, you can kind of make some enemies not spawn or spawn them where you want to.
So every 50,000 points, you get an extend. And you get 5,000 points for no missing a specific level. There's also a crush bonus, if you remember, like, a lot of games have pointless gore, like Mortal Kombat and Ninja Gaiden, where the gore doesn't really mean anything. Here, the gore is actually useful because when you crush an enemy, when they explode and they have, like, 15 more rib cages than they should, and that, like, scientifically, then you actually get 500 points. Like, right there, I just got an extra 1,000 points just from crushing those 2 wolves. So if you're going for score or you just want to go for survival, actually getting crush bonuses is actually pretty nice, because it will add up over the course of the run.
What do you have to do to crush? Like kill them?
You just have to get like overkill and do a certain amount of damage to them after they're dead. Well, I actually don't play this game on arcade stick. You actually notice I put up a gamepad visualizer. The guys at XSplit were nice enough to add that to their plugin store recently. The reason I don't do that is because playing this game on turbo mode is actually very taxing, at least with this character, with the techniques I'm doing. So I actually prefer to play on controller. I will play on stick with the other characters, but not so much this one.
So the combo meter in the bottom left, is that just points? Does it give you any gameplay benefit?
I don't think it really does much.
Someone in chat is asking when you use an arcade stick, which one do you prefer?
I have a Hori Real Arcade Pro 4. I use for like other beat 'em ups, fighting games, of course. Now those electric cats there, people know I'm a crazy cat man in real life, but they are one of the most dangerous enemies in the game, next to the Linda clones, because they will hit you on wake up every time. So a lot of times you'll get like situations where you don't kill the electric cat in a juggle, and it'll be landing right there, and it'll take a lot of unexpected damage. They can really mess things up if you let them.
The monkeys, their flip kick
Sleeves,
just
yeah.
reminds me of the chicken wing from Street Fighter, as people call it.
Yeah, there's the chicken wing, there's the bison slide. A lot of fighting game references in this. Okay, so I gotta be careful here and not use the knives because they're gonna be very important for the next boss. Alright, it's looking pretty good right now. So this boss is like a kind of a sprite edit of the character I'm using. And she's really good at punishing you. So you generally want to just use all the knives and take off a pretty significant chunk of her health right away.
Oh, does she block one of the knives?
No, she has like a infinite prevention system. She will often try to tech out of a combo. She'll start blocking. That was a pretty clean fight. Looking pretty good right now. This is no miss so far, and I've got 5 lives saved up. So these enemies are the ones that teach you how to parry. A lot of people get blown up on this part because the parry system isn't completely clear.
Oh, that's like a Dudley rush punch.
Yeah. That was a pretty clean fight. I actually parried almost all their dash punches.
That has to be intentional with the suit that they're wearing as well. So many Street Fighter references.
Now, this game was made by one person in Uruguay. It took him like 4 years to make it. And it's just a labor of love to the genre. You know, there are a lot of games that still come out in this genre, but they aren't anywhere near this polished. You know, it's very easy to find good pixel artists and stuff on Twitter and things like that, but it's very hard to find combat designers that can make games this polished. So this game is very special in the community.
It's also usually pretty easy to tell when people take the extra steps to make it look better. Like, you can make good pixel art, but you'll often see when the artists take the extra time to add in the extra little details, you know?
Yeah. the bulls are not cooperating today.
So I noticed that early on you were talking about how saving the hostage and then following her sets you on a different path. Is it just the fastest path to complete?
Yeah, this is the fastest path to complete the game. Unfortunately, this game has one of Metal Slug 3's bad parts, is that the end of the game is pretty much always the same. You will always go through Death Island and the raft level every time, and that's kind of frustrating because those are the longest levels in the game. So generally, the speedrun route just gets those levels faster. There is like a sewer surfing type level, but that one requires taking the longest route, so it's generally not seen in a speedrun. Kinda wish I had taken that apple. I'm probably gonna lose a life on Atari here if I make a couple mistakes. So this boss definitely teaches you how to initiate a combo off-axis. Because if you're on axis with him, you're pretty much going to get hit. Right there. Pretty standard, like, old school Golden Axe era stuff. Keep pausing by accident. Oh, nice. Got a little bit of an extension there. This game has an infinite prevention system, so you can't really get around it too often. The only ways to really get around it are to have two players. 2 or 3 players in the game will also help to circumvent the infinite prevention system. Or if you have access to a wall, that will help too. There you go. No miss so far.
Someone's asking what the clock that keeps showing up on the screen is.
The what?
The clock?
What clock?
I don't think it's
What clock?
I didn't notice it myself. I think we can keep going.
Alright. Yeah,
I'll keep an eye out for it.
Right, here's probably where I'll end up losing my life, one of my lives here. It's the infamous raft level. Definitely my least favorite part of the game, but nothing unmanageable. Basically here you just have to learn how to control your moveset and not do anything that's going to risk you falling off. Definitely want to do a lot of Capcom grabs here and just throw off as many enemies as possible.
Does this, like, kill a certain number of enemies, or is it just time?
No, it's all just fully scripted. There's no special conditions or anything.
It was interesting seeing you pick up the sword instead of the pipe, because the first Brawler I played was Streets of Rage, and the pipe is so good in Streets of Rage.
Yeah, the weapons are actually quite good in this. It's kind of like Final Fight 3. Final Fight 3 was one of the only beat-em-ups in existence where the weapons are actually worth picking up, because there was a different weapon that each character specialized in. Alright, so I'm trying to make sure this doesn't fall off. Oops. Come on. Footsies fly.
These flies are jerks.
I think they are the mutant descendants of the Footsie skeleton in Castlevania 1.
They kind of birds? Is this a birds are jerks moment?
So here, generally, you just want to mash attack here. Try to make your power spear go as long as possible. Alright, that was very clean. So, this boss, generally he's going to either do projectiles or a tackle. You want him to do the tackle more often because you can punish, but you also have to parry the projectiles, otherwise you'll get knocked off. He's being nice so far. Nice.
That was only one projectile, right?
Yeah.
How frequent is a zero projectile fight with that boss?
He almost never does that.
So nice luck there.
So these are the combo video enemies because they have a ton of health. There we go.
Yeah, these are Adon birds, apparently.
Yeah. Yeah, this is kind of messy already. Probably gonna lose my first life here. But I have never missed this game, so it's no big deal. Kind of parried them a little bit off timing. There's actually a chicken over just a couple steps away, so maybe I can get over there. But I also don't want to spawn them all at once because that will defeat the purpose. So this life is still alive, just gotta play careful. course, I said I was going to not spawn them all at once, and we did anyway. It doesn't matter.
I saw that. I assume at that point, when you're that low, you might as well try to do it.
Yeah. That was pretty good, though, for not dying at all until this point. Kind of falling apart right now. I already took the chicken. Ah, wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, we were talking about this in the previous game. We now have the requisite enemy that explodes on death. We've checked that off.
It's not the
list.
enemies, it's their bikes. There are no enemies in this that do that in this game, just those bikes.
Is this the really long stage you were talking about before?
Yes, this level and the level after this is the last level. They are completely scripted. Which is kind of one of the downfalls of this game. Metal Slug 3 is very much the same way. That game has so many paths and you're still stuck on the same 40-minute last level. Luckily, that was one of the biggest complaints about this game was how long the campaign is. He actually added a bunch of modes post-launch, like a time attack mode and a survival mode, which is actually very addictive. So you can play this game in more condensed, situations like on the bus or something. This game is actually on the Switch now, so if you're interested, it'll be coming to PS4 soon. Last time I talked to the developer, he wasn't sure when it was going to happen, but it's supposed to be soon. Nice. Yeah, the Switch port is very good. Definitely one of the most optimal ways to play this. The game also has like a built-in sleep mode or suspend mode, so if your friends try to get you to play another multiplayer game or something, you can just exit out of the game and come back and resume. That was not in the game originally. That was something that was added last year.
So independent from the switches, like suspending a game?
No, it has its own built-in suspend, not the sleep mode. It actually will save your position in the run, even though this is an arcade-based game. Got a screen of Lindas here. Definitely want to take them out as soon as possible.
This is going to be the usual, like, Brawler final stage where you just see every enemy type.
I'll let you guess, but there's probably an elevator scene coming up pretty soon. No hints, though. Alright, there's never an elevator level in any beat-em-up, right? Well, this game is being completely innovative here. Luckily, this one is actually quite forgiving. They do give you a couple food items, but there are some problem spots.
Well, it doesn't look like you can fall off of this one.
No, they let you get the pleasure of falling off on the rafts in the last level.
I guess that is a double-edged sword, because that means you can't knock the enemies off at the same time.
Parries are not on point today. Never mind.
Chat is having a lovely discussion about elevator scenes.
Yeah, I wish I could cooperate, but in the middle of a speedrun. Not a lot of downtime in this game. They're very good about not making you sit through a bunch of cutscenes. Everything is skippable. Alright, all you Mega Man X2 fans, here comes the green biker dude. Coming up shortly in a couple fights. After this fight.
You know, you said there was an elevator scene, but I wasn't prepared for them fully committing to the super long elevator.
Yeah. Doing pretty good on parries this run. Here comes the green biker dude.
Yep.
I am very thankful when you guys do GDQ and there's always an X2 relay, because it means the green biker dude dies 4 times. Alright, so this is like the penultimate room of the game. After this is just the Doberman gauntlet, and then the final boss. Oh man, got hit on Wake Up. I knew that was gonna happen. Of course, now I just can't parry at all.
You always have to complain about it, and then it goes better. When you say you're doing well, that's when it goes bad.
Alright, here's the Atari Gauntlet. They're generally one of the hardest fights in the game. Same strategy here, you want to stay off axis as much as possible.
Oh my god, it actually is Dictator just sitting on a throne watching you fight.
It's a dictator with a gun. It's cheating. GG.
What's that time?
It'll show me the splits. But yeah, you can go ahead and get time. It's over now. Oh wow, that's actually a PB for me. Obviously, it's not really a very competitive game, but yeah, my
Nice.
best time is around a 37-minute or so. I actually got that on the Switch version. So yeah, that's it's pretty awesome. I'm not sure what the normal turbo record is right now because I set mine back before they did the patch. They only accept runs on the latest patch on speedrun, but for me at least, that's a PB. So that was a pretty solid run overall. I definitely dropped a little bit on the Death Island, but I did pretty good performance.
Yeah, congrats on the PB.
Yeah.
Do you have any shoutouts you'd like to give before we wrap up?
I just like to give shoutouts to the stylish action game beat 'em up community. They have been very supportive of me, just always being accepting of my mental illness. I do deal with depression and anxiety. I'm clinically depressed and anxious, and doing this is kind of a passion for me. It's a way for me to get around not being able to hold a real job very easily due to my mental illness. And, I've met so many lifelong friends through these games, and this franchise, not this franchise, but this genre is not dead. There are lots of great games out there like this. You just have to look a little harder than normal to find them. I definitely suggest you guys look around. On YouTube, there's a lot of people on here on Twitch as well. People like the Retro, the 1cc community. Definitely great guys, great content creators, great channels. Lots of people have just as much passion, if not more, for these games than I do. And I just wanted to shout them all out. Thank you.
All right, thanks for being on and showing this off for us.
Yeah, it was a fun run. Pretty good.
And congrats again on the PB.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Just as a quick reminder, make sure you tune in on Thursday. The First Step is going to be returning to their normal time at 7 p.m. Eastern. We had pushed them to Friday last week because of our Halloween show. And thank you everybody who tuned in. Hotfix is funded in part thanks to your subscriptions and bits. Please consider subscribing to support future broadcasts. But we're going to toss you over to another speedrunner. They're doing Final Fantasy IV Free Enterprise Monday race.
Got
So why don't you go
rando
cheer
stuff
them
going
on?
on?
Yeah. Why don't
Alright.
you go cheer them on and hope that they have a good run, and we'll see you all on Thursday.
Thank
for
you all.
tuning in.
Goodbye.